Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that you won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show with your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
It certainly is. Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino.
Wow. We had a great time the other day at the Island Bay
Day.
Island Bay Day.
And there will be some interviews coming from that.
Yes, we saw some very cool bands, met some very cool people. Me and Sweet Lita's guitar player, Omar.
Omar, yes.
Wow, did we bond.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, Omar's a great guy, man.
Yeah.
Omar's a great guy.
I had, me and him had some people laughing, and it was a good time. It was good fun.
Excellent.
And what an amazing guitar player. What an amazing band. That band is very good. Check those guys out, man. They are.
Yeah. Sweet Lita.
Yeah, and it's not Lita.
No, it's Leda.
Yes. Because I tried to look it up, and I was like, why can't I find this band? And then I had to go to the thing and say, oh, well, idiot. If you would have looked before, you would have seen that they were actually spelled the other way.
If you'd have just looked at the scrims that were on stage.
Yes, exactly. So we want to thank everybody. We're up to 900 followers now on Twitter. Solid 9.
Wow, that was quick.
It was nice. Real quick. Nice. I mean, every day is just another cool thing. Mm-hmm. So thank you to the listeners. Thanks for turning a friend on. Make sure that you go to our website and bookmark the Amazon little link because Christmas coming.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to buy strings and stuff like that, but you also can buy whatever. Everything.
Pickups and,
you can buy it all.
Right, whatever you want or maybe what your significant other wants.
And what it does is it doesn't charge any more to you, but it gives us a couple shekels, keeps the lights on, and keeps this thing moving.
Right.
And that's what we want to do.
Because this thing is moving.
It is moving.
It is.
At 200 miles an hour.
Awesome.
So, real quick before we get into our interview, I was listening to Adam Corolla today.
Okay.
And in the podcast world, you can talk about other shows, so I'm going to tell people if they are listening to this, it was Wednesday the 22nd when his show was on. Okay, this will come out tomorrow, so it'll be the 23rd.
Right.
Boy, all the secrets are out now.
Then you have to do math and subtract one, but that makes it easy.
Yeah, so if you get a chance to listen to it, David Wild was on there, but Joe Perry was on there.
Cool.
And Joe Perry's pushing his new book, and it's rocks. It's something, I forget what the title is. I didn't even hear it yet. But the cool part that was interesting, the most interesting thing that I heard during the show was Adam asked him, how they used to record and how they used to do their thing. And it was, we just keep hearing the same thing. And I've now come to the conclusion that if guys out there listening to us really want to make a very rememberable type album. Now, granted, we have friends like Jason Sudeikis who cannot record this way because he's all by himself, and the other guys he wants to record with are way far away, and they cannot get to him.
Right.
So that is where the technology works best, right? He can write out all the scores, he can write it, and his music, it doesn't suffer from that because his music is very technical and it's very progressive.
Well, and that's one respect where technology enables you to do something you could never do before.
You could never do
which enables more music to be recorded and given to us to listen to.
Exactly.
Now, so that's a great thing.
If you're in a band, this is where the difference was. When Joe was talking about how Aerosmith records, Steven Tyler is like this guy that's a very perfectionist. He likes to rehearse it until it's just worn to death, and he wants it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe is 180.
Real spontaneous.
He is just like,
guy.
Leave it in. It's fine. Yeah, it may sound, you may have a scratch here, noise here. Just leave it in. Let's go with it. He's like, let's go. Come on. Let's just go. And they butted heads. But what I got out of it is that those first albums, and even the albums today, even though he has to fight for this part now, because there's other people involved, even though they're Aerosmith and they're big, it gets very polished, a lot of hands in there.
You feel like producers and things,
yeah.
Kind of tell you.
Because they hire the best, and well, the best, they seem to work it to death, But anyway, regardless, talking about the first albums, they were one takers. They were just set up, go.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear Brad and you hear Joe and all the different things that were going on at the time, and they were coming up with ideas and trying different things just to get different sounds and stuff. But it goes back to all the things that we've been talking about with all these different guys. And then the Rayolite is, of course, J.D. Simo, where he said, you treat Pro Tools like tape. And if you do that and you just set up in the room and you just put it out of your mind that you can cut and paste and treat it like you would tape, where that's very difficult and wasn't done much. You have to be on your game.
Yeah, I mean, treat it like tape means you have to look at it as just a newer format to be recording to, and put aside the fact that it's capable of doing so many things. You just need to look at it as simply an alternate format to tape. It's just a newer thing, a newer way to record something.
Yep.
And think that way during your performance. It's basically what it all comes down to. It's like, I screwed up this half of this chorus here. We'll just fix it in the mix. Oh. No, you go back and you record the song again as a unit.
Yes.
But the beauty of it is that you're recording it as a unit.
Yeah.
And it's just there's something about that feel that just, it's like when you have a band and it's, you've done your woodshedding for a while, you've been in the basement for a while or whatever, you've been in a rehearsal facility, whatever, and you take it out on the stage and all of a sudden everything is working and everything's feeling good and everybody's feeling real good about things and everybody's smiling because the energy is there and it feels good.
Yeah.
That's the kind of energy that will come through if you go ahead and do that in the studio again.
Absolutely.
Because that energy just gets lost.
Plus,
when you're individualized.
You sound the same.
Right.
You sound like you. You sound like the band. Right. If you polish it to no end, there's no way you can go out and sound like that.
Now, I'm telling you, man, there's something about when you're in the studio and, whether there's partitions between you or not for some sort of isolation, but everybody's looking
that vibe
themselves in the eye. Everybody's looking at everybody, in the eyes.
Yeah.
And you know how that works on stage, and
you just feed off of it.
Right. I mean, you can, there's such a human aspect about looking at the next player, and there are cues there like that are subconscious that just happen. You don't even know they're happening.
No.
But there's a feel there. There's a natural thing that happens that if everybody starts putting down things individually, it doesn't happen.
The heartbeat gets lost.
Really, I don't know. I don't want to say that the recording suffers, but I don't think it's as good as it could be.
No.
It's just there's this little human thing that's missing.
And he was talking about, like he said, well, what did you do? Did you guys just get to the, would you go to the studio and then just camp out and record your albums? He goes, well, a lot of that was, he goes, but we also used to look at it as like Led Zeppelin 2 was recorded across the country in different studios.
Right.
It wasn't recorded in one place. They recorded as they went on the road.
They were on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, so there was time limitations. They weren't able to just sit back and take a month to write a song and record it in a studio and take that month. They were on the road, so they had to go in, track it.
You book what time you can in the facility that you can get.
Exactly. And then, Jimmy, he did a lot of overdubs. It was very apparent, but that underlying track was all just those guys just going.
Right.
You know, The Who, same way.
Mm-hmm.
The Stones, any of the any band that has tested that time. Now, granted, everybody's going to go, well, it was a different time and there wasn't that many bands and they were getting signed. They had all these huge record deals. Yeah, that was there. But guess what? That sound, if we wouldn't accept it as humans, we wouldn't know it today. You know, it just would not be.
Because it wouldn't be good enough to stand the test of time.
Exactly.
It would be gone.
It would be gone.
It would be off most people's radar.
Done.
So, you know what? Just hash it out in a room and make something memorable.
Yeah.
You know?
And work on getting everything sounding right and then just push record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take the time to get the sound that you want to hear coming out of the thing. Don't, then put everybody together and just go. And I guarantee it'll sound better.
And the more you do that, the more you know what it takes to get everything sounding right. So the more you do it, the less time it's going to take to get it set up. You know, that's why, a lot of producers, or especially engineers, they know what mic sounds good on what kind of speaker, how far away, things like that. The more you do it, the more you go, okay, we're back in the studio. My cabinet goes here. This mic goes here. This mic goes here. Here's the level. All right, let's rock.
Yeah. I mean, you can be that quick.
Yeah.
If you kind of, with
There's
everything.
Little tweaks, of course, but
and with camera phones and everything else, you could take photographs, you can put tape on your cabinet, you can do a lot of different things to make sure that you're pretty close to where everything was. So you could come one day and then come another day, or however you want to do it, and still be relatively in the ballpark.
Repeatable, yeah.
And just dial in your set, go. And at that point, look, you're a band. Why can't you play together?
Yeah. It really shouldn't be that hard.
We have to track and we have to have a click. Clicks, oh my God. Even Dream Theater at one point, they said, we ditched the click.
Right.
Because it just got to be annoying.
It becomes sterile. There's no...
And Dream Theater, that can become pretty sterile.
That can be, yes, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, and for those guys to go, okay, this is feeling too sterile.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah.
That's saying something.
Yes, it is.
That's saying something. So, go have fun with it. Go have fun and do it naturally. Record with real amps every time that you can.
And axes.
And, of course, and axes. Well, what are you going to
do?
Play? Plug a popsicle stick into it?
Give it time, Jeff. I mean, the amps have gone away, right?
Don't even go there. Stop.
I mean, come on, right?
Stop.
Look, move some air. That's all we're telling you. We sound
do
like,
it collectively.
We sound like grandpas, but guess what? So there's a saying, right? That you can do this thing where you go, hey, man, don't tell me what to do. But when there's 40 years of experience, maybe you should listen. And now I'm not trying to act like I'm some owl in the tree that I know everything, from I'm Tootsie Pop commercial. But seriously, though, man, there's a reason that these old albums are still being played. It's not, everybody goes, well, it's the songs. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the way they were recorded. If it sounds like shit coming out of the album and the band's still good, you're going to be like, well, it sounds kind of cool, but it's recorded. Look, I heard some old Black Sabbath stuff that were demos, and they were working on a shoestring budget. They are horrible.
Mm-hmm. Their
playing's not horrible. The recording is horrible.
Right. But the energy behind it is real. But that song would have never, you know what I mean? Those songs would have never lasted the test because people would have been like, it's thin. It doesn't have there's nothing to it, So, yeah. Well, that's simply comes from budget and lack of recording, lack of good recording ability. But
but with all the stuff that we have now, you should be able to just set up in a room and just go.
I agree.
And that takes us to our next guy.
So where we just go
exactly
to our next guest,
because this cat is doing it right.
Yes, he is. And he's he's been doing it for a while.
He has.
Both individually and with other collective entities, and now back on his own again with his own project. And we wish him big luck with it. And he's He's another one of those guys that really has learned to play from the heart and from the soul, and saw the. I don't want to say he sees the error of only being able to play from a piece of music, but he knows what it's like to, finally just play from your heart, and play your own style, and just go out there and do it and see what happens. And obviously it's happening pretty well for him. So without further ado, the one, the only Mike Zito.
This is George Grimaldi from Sony ATV, and you're listening to Amps and X's. Yeah.
And as promised, from where are you right now, Mike?
I am in Nederland, Texas.
Right now,
Middle of nowhere.
Right now from Nederland, Texas, Mr. Mike Zito. Mike, welcome to the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be with you guys today.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I got an email from his. I guess she's her manager. Or, was that
publicist?
Publicist.
Yeah,
okay.
my publicist.
And I'm sorry. Yes, Jill. And she said, "Hey, do you want to interview Mike?" And I said, "Yeah,
sure, absolutely."
Yeah, that worked out good. Well, I'm home this week, so it all worked out.
Yeah, because she said that you were getting ready to go on tour in November, right?
Yeah, heading out to Europe for a month next week.
Oh,
very nice.
So,
very nice.
We've actually made one of those calls though. So we've actually talked to Austria with Adam Rafferty.
Oh, right.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
well, you can certainly do it in this day and age pretty easily.
Yeah.
With Skype and everything. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man, it's pretty slick.
Yeah. So we'll get to your current project because that's what you're going out with, but. Let's start a little bit from the beginning, Mike. When did you get the itch to strap on the 6-string?
Oh man, I think my dad was a lot older than me, and he listened to a lot of big band music and horn players and like swing jazz stuff. He was born like in the 20s, and I was born in '70. So we were had a good few years between us.
Yeah.
And I listened to whatever he was playing when I was a kid, but I have older sisters and brother, and they were all old enough, kind of moved out of the house. I think I was about 8 years old, and I was up the street at a friend's house who had an older brother. Thank God for older brothers. And he had just got Van Halen 1, 78.
Nice.
1978, and I heard Eruption coming from his bedroom upstairs. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what is that sound? Like that doesn't, what is that? It was just crazy, so I never heard it, and I ran in the room, and he was the dude that had all the posters on the wall of all the bands and all, the black light and all that stuff going. He was awesome. He was maybe like 12, we were like 8, and and I was like, what's that? And he's like, Van Halen, man. God, like unbelievable. And I had just gotten so when I got a record player that year, the first thing I did was ask for that record, and we went to Sears and Roebuck, and I got that record. And then my brother, who's 18 years older than me, who he was like in Vietnam, and he was already moved out of the house. He comes home and catches me, this 8-year-old kid listening to Van Halen. He goes, "Yeah, that's pretty good, but he's not as good as this guy." And then he gives me Electric Ladyland.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. So then I put that on, and I was like, that's even weirder sounding. That doesn't even, it's a lot. You're talking like, I have kids now, like 8-year-old kid has no clue what's going on.
That's a lot to process, man. It really is.
Right?
I mean, Van Halen enough, but then you get exposed to Hendrix. It's like, what planet did this guy come from?
I remember I was like 6 years old in elementary school, and the military brought in a band, and the guy was playing a Telecaster. It was kind of like the first thing that kind of got me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, it's sort of like, remember the gymnasium from your elementary school? You thought it was as big as like the stadium, but then you go back when you're like 25 and you go, oh my God.
The place is tiny.
Yeah. So this guy could have been playing absolute crap, but it was just overwhelming to, for a 6-year-old kid, to see those fingers moving and stuff. So I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, it was really a lot, but I do remember, and my brother, because he's from another era, as he said, I guess he saw Van Halen open for Journey.
Well, that would have been
sometime in there in the mid '70s, and they were really into Hendrix and stuff. So he was not thrilled with he didn't get all the extra notes or whatever he was doing. Like it was, that was now beyond him. So he wasn't digging it. And he was like, you need to listen to this guy, and gives me the Hendrix. And of course it took some years. I mean, I listened to Hendrix, was like, man, this is really weird music. It was really, the first song on the record, is Have You Ever Been to Electric Lady? And I was like, what's that? But I remember him saying like, oh, this guy's really good. And, so I had those 2 records, and I wore them out, eventually. And that really, I wanted the guitar. So I think the next year I got a Sears guitar from the catalog. No one knew how to play. No one knew how to tune it. No one knew anything about it whatsoever. So I didn't learn to tune a guitar until I got to high school.
Wow.
So a good 6 years, I don't know what I was doing.
I mean, I can imagine no matter how good you are, if the guitar isn't in tune, you're going to sound like crap, and it's got to be relatively discouraging. I mean, were you ever discouraged?
I mean, seriously, like, no one knew anything about what they were doing. So it was probably at some point just tuned to some kind of, I assume, a chord or something. Like, no, we didn't have a book. There was nobody anywhere around that said, here, let me show you something.
No internet.
I remember my sister, like, put her finger on the fret, and then she hit the string, and she moved it. And it went, brrr, and I was like, oh, my God. How did you do that? Like, and I probably did that for 6 years.
See, for you, your sister invented vibrato.
Right? Exactly. What's funny now is I know I was playing it all the time and making noise with it and trying to play my records. And then I went to school and I was like, man, I was probably doing something really awesome. Like something awesome, like untouched, amazing. And I went to school and they were like, yeah, that's not right at all. You have no idea what you're doing. That's terrible.
It's all wrong. You're gonna have to learn over again.
I read a story from Paul Gilbert when he first started playing. He thought all you could do was upstrokes.
Really?
Yeah. And Paul Gilbert is like crazy fast now, but he said for the longest time he thought you just had to go up,
Wow.
So then a guy came along one day and he says, you can go the other way. And he was like, really?
Those are such huge hurdles, that you don't realize. I mean, think about it from the standpoint of if we've been playing guitar all our lives. You look back and you think of all this and think it's funny and it's great and blah, blah, blah. Think of all the people that, they never really kind of get past any of that on the guitar. These are huge hurdles. Like people will go, they might get to some of this and go, yeah, I've had enough. Like they don't want to continue on.
Yeah.
Maybe not today. Maybe today there's, I watch my son plays guitar. He's a great guitar player. And, he goes, yeah, I want to play with the band tonight. And I go, okay, what do you want to play? And, he'll tell me the song, and I go, well, do you know it? And he goes, yeah, I'll learn it. And then I catch him. He's in there on YouTube.
Yep.
And there's somebody showing you note for note, like how to learn it. And he goes, yeah, I got it.
Wow.
Man,
well, it's nice to be fearless, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, we're taking the record and moving the needle back over and over and then panning the Van Halen record side to side because the one side would not have as much guitar or the other would have all the guitar.
Oh, well, that was Ted Templeman, guitar on one side, bass on the other, and
it helps.
Just trying to figure out, trying to figure out what they were doing. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's like when the Beatles first hit, when the first stereo mixes hit. People were trying to figure out. The Beatles were trying to figure out how does everybody know our harmonies now? And they went, well, you're on one side and you're on the other.
Yeah, perfect.
So it got easy. But how old is your son?
He's 19. He's gonna be 20 in March. So he's in his band. We were just on tour in the Midwest, and his group he's had a group for a while, but this is his like new. It's pretty dang good, and they opened up for us, and went great. So
nice,
super fun.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of cool.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe he was like some 8-year-old hot shot, and he wants to play with the band, and Dad's watching him learn the song on YouTube, and he just goes, "I got it," and just goes out there and plays. It's like, man, but it's still even 19 or 20,
ago, I remember, and of course we ended up having that conversation like, okay, you know what, you got it. I mean, I don't know, what do you say? I mean, I used to remember guys would come in and read tablature. I worked at a music store. I worked at a guitar shop for 10 years in St. Louis, Missouri, right out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
And again, all along those ways, trying to learn, take lessons, really seemed like it was the hard way. And then some of these guys would come in, and they got the tablature to Cliffs of Dover when it came out, and they would just sit down and plug in and go and play it, and it was like, wow, how did you do that? Like, I couldn't figure anything. He was like, well, I just learned this tablature. I just learned this notes. And it's like, okay, wow. But then we would play like, okay, man, let's jam a blues song. They had like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Like, so I had that talk with my son, like, man, it's really awesome that you can learn to do this. But do you know what you're doing? Like, do you know what you're doing? Like, do you know where your fingers are or what it means? So early on, he got good really quick, and now he's dove in to like trying to learn what he's doing. What some kind of a bit of theory, practical theory for the guitar to help him. And I really now I put him in positions where like, yeah, we're not playing that song. This song's in B flat. Here we go.
But
try to make him go for it.
That's
excellent.
That's a dying thing. YouTube is literally tens of millions of videos of guys doing songs note for note. Almost impossible to hear the difference and everything. But like you said, if you threw those guys out in the open and said, go ahead, go for it, they would be like,
it's something they hadn't previously learned and rehearsed.
Yeah, just like, what? Because
and I think that's just a world where I come from. As much as I wanted to learn how to play like all these guys, I can't play like Van Halen. I wanted to, like I would love to.
Yeah, we all
did. I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah,
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, right.
Me too.
And eventually, I just never had enough patience to just sit and learn things note for note. I did that a few times, and that's about it.
Yeah, you go where your heart takes you, and if you're moving past that into something, or not even, I don't want to say past, if you're moving in a slightly different direction because this, you feel this more and you learn it better or easier or what, it just it works for you. There there are plenty of guys out there that can learn this stuff but don't really develop their own style, their own feel or anything. They just and they can learn and maybe they can even improvise, but they don't really have their own style or something I think that really settles into their heart and soul.
I knew a guy that
that's very difficult to do. Yeah.
I knew a guy that was in a local band, very good guitar player. And whoever the flavor of the month was, like if it was George Lynch or Rat was doing something, or Van Halen, whoever it was, you would hear a song come from the guy. He would write an original, and I'd be like, is this off the new George Lynch album?
Yeah, well, that seems pretty similar, doesn't it?
He would wear his influences, literally, just take their ideas, lift them, and just, rearrange them a little bit and put them in there. But literally play just like them.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no originality going on here.
It is very difficult to find originality and all that. And I think the best thing that I ever did was, again, I don't think I had, because I didn't have a lot of upbringing, like musical lessonry, even not until later. So I figured everything out on my own in strange ways that I know, right? So then I couldn't ever, what are they doing? Like I couldn't figure it out. And as frustrating as it was then, whenever I played in cover bands, I did exactly the opposite. I couldn't really figure out, a lot of times I couldn't figure out exactly what they were doing. So then I'll just play what I'm going to play. And a lot of times guys that had cover bands, they were not happy about this. There was a couple of bands where they kind of forced you, you have to try to learn the song. We're trying to be like a radio band, you're trying to. So they would force that, but I was really generally just, I'd learn the tune the best I could, and then I'd play my own solo. And, I think that's what I liked about early on about blues is I thought, I can improvise. For some reason, I thought, this will be a good. If I can learn to improvise over these 3 chords, just kind of like basic jazz, just can I play over these chord changes? And the more and more that I got to do that, it seems like you said, it's much easier to be confident in many more situations to just go, yeah, what are we playing? Okay. Mm-hmm. I know I can play blues in all the keys.
And the sharps and flats?
Yeah, watch out.
That's funny. So I'm sure probably a couple of high school bands in there at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I got to high school, immediately I found the other musicians, and again, I wasn't very good. That was another thing. You saw someone, one of my closest friends now in life, but at the time, they were looking for a singer in a band. I was a sophomore, So I went to the basement where they rehearsed, and this was like the cool guys had this band, and this kid had an Ibanez Phil Collin model Destroyer and a red Marshall half stack.
Wow.
And when I walked in, he was like playing Van Halen or Rat or something, and I was like, and I just lost it. I was like, I'd never seen anyone in my life other than MTV or whatever was on, the record. I've never seen a person in person. Like you said, and he was doing what I had been listening to all these years, and it was sounded. I was like, oh my God, why aren't you famous? Like, shouldn't you be famous? But he'd been taking lessons and learning, and obviously had nice equipment and knew how to play. And I was totally blown away. That really, it was the first time it hit me. Like, oh, so like we could do this too. Like, so we could do this. Like, I thought you could only do this if you were famous. Back then it was still that mystery that's not there anymore. You put the record on, you don't really know what these guys look like, if they come from another planet. Yeah. Where did they learn this? And now this kid's doing it in front of me. So, yeah, I joined the band and I sang, and eventually I learned to play from this guy and from guys in school. And so I would start out the singer, and by senior year I was playing some guitar in the band, and I was hooked then. So in 6 blocks from my house in St. Louis was a music store called Tower Grove Music. It had been there for 25 years already, and I went there right out of high school and said I want a job, and they gave me a job working 40 hours a week for no pay, but for gear.
Oh wow!
Isn't that great? So my first amp I got was a PV Triumph 112 60 watt, and I think I worked 6 months for it. It probably cost $700 retail. So I got that was a good gig I got.
Yeah,
that's
nice. I was getting paid good money.
It's funny, and not to interrupt, but we've had enough guys on now, like Mike, that we see it's the big brother, the older sister.
Oh yeah,
the influence comes down from that, and then that most of them worked at a music store, or they were gigging with other bands, or roadieing and moving gear and stuff.
Right.
It is so neat that thing doesn't change.
Yeah, it's been.
I think when you really want to do it and you don't know how to do it,
you just jump in.
You're going to go do it.
Yep.
And figure it out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a better way. And I certainly think education is amazing. I mean, I still have dreams thinking like at some point later in life when I have a little time and money, I'm going to go, learn more. I'm going to try to learn. I'm always trying to learn more. But I really think those are something now. That's what I encourage my son. It's like, man, get in a band, go play, make mistakes, go. Yep. He comes out and he sets up gear with us and he helps and he sits in. It's like, man, go get involved. Get away from that computer. It's good for part of it, but you got to get out there and be a part of it. It's corny. It sounds corny, but you're absolutely right.
No, it's absolutely true. And yeah, you're right. Go out and make mistakes. I mean, that's the best way to learn. I've said that since day one.
Repetition.
What mistakes?
Right.
Mistakes. Yeah. But the thing is, sometimes mistakes turn into something cool.
Yeah.
And like, wow, that's not what I wanted to play, and it might be theoretically wrong, but I've never heard anybody do that. And I like the way it sounds. And then it turns into something, and it may morph into his own style. I mean, you don't know. You don't know where mistakes go, That's the great thing about making them.
Everybody's everybody's doing this for a different reason. I mean, I know those guys that they learn everything and they know how to play everything. And maybe it's not always there's not a lot of personality and stuff. But maybe they just they're enjoying playing guitar, and a lot of times maybe they just play at home or they play in a cover band, or everybody does something different. I think my guitar playing was always based around I want to sing. I want to sing. That was always what I wanted to do. I always sang first.
Wow.
So I want to play guitar, but I want to sing so I can be in the band and play guitar and sing, and I want to write songs, play music. And even though there was a big, strong influence on the guitar, as much as I loved it, it seemed like it was always about a bigger picture, about music, somehow making music, making my own music.
Nice.
I think that's where, because it seemed like I had a lot more leniency with my own music to play guitar the way I wanted. I didn't have to listen to anybody tell me you can't do that.
Hey, you're not doing your own solo the correct way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or I do remember being in a cover band like when I was 19, and like the 40-year-old drummer saying, "Hey man, there's no flanger on Sweet Home Alabama. You need to turn that off." I was like, "Oh, but the flanger sounds awesome, doesn't it?" Like, I love the flanger.
Yeah. And the guys that died in a plane crash aren't going to complain.
No, they don't care. It sounded cool with the flanger.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You never know. If they were still alive, they'd probably be like, "That flanger sounds pretty damn cool."
Right, we
Flanger
got
was
stuck.
pretty good,
We got stuck using the phaser that was in the PV amp, but that flanger sounds better.
Exactly.
That old PV Mace with the built-in phaser.
Oh yeah, buddy.
That's awesome.
Who didn't have one of those pass through their hands?
Oh my God.
The mace or the deuce.
or the musician.
Oh yeah,
The big boy.
Yeah.
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 That was basically the head that's like, it could be anything, a PA head, a guitar amp, or a bass amp.
Yes, it could.
Yep, and it's been all. It's been all. So you
All at once.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was the same speaker.
Now we're going way back.
Yeah, man.
So you started doing your own thing, and what was it? 2008 was your first release?
No, I played in a lot of bands for years. I played in a lot of cover bands, country bands, and rock bands. Just trying to learn. So I went on the road with some guys out in Nashville. Just really trying to get out there. And I think about late '90s, I came back to St. Louis and said, "All right, that's it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play original music. I'm going to have my own band." And I made a record in 1998 on my own called Blue Room.
Wow,
and I
cool.
recorded it, in the basement, and we made a CD. And once I did that, then I was hooked. I was like, okay, so this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm making my own records. I'm writing my own songs. We're putting our own records out. And the idea was, I'm going to make these records and try to get a record deal. So that was 10 years before I actually got a record deal. So, but in those 10 years, I made, I think, 5 albums on my own.
Wow. And all in your basement?
Well, it was in a basement studio, but in different studios and different areas. And in the middle of it, I also decided to get really hooked on drugs, so that didn't help with the touring.
Yeah, that always is a damper.
Yeah, it kind of threw things off. But around 2003, I got it all back together again and really focused on making my own records. And again, trying to make a record. I'm going to send it to record labels, and really the idea it was never to be like I'm going to send it to Warner Brothers or Sony. I had gotten hip to the blues labels like Alligator and Roof, and guys in the late '90s started coming through St. Louis, like Walter Trout. He was a really big influence. He started coming through, and I was blown away by his guitar playing. And that he was on this record label that I had, like Luther Allison Records with Roof Records. I was like, man, what's that? I want to be on Roof Records, I figure you have a better chance maybe trying to work with these independent labels. So I was making my own records, trying to get somebody to listen to me. And they I had some close shots in the late 90s, but I think they all knew I was on drugs. And so I didn't really get it. I got a break. It was in 2007. I sent off my last independent album to a record label in L.A., and the guy really liked it, and that was it. So 2008 is my first label release called Today.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a lot of information to give you, but
no, it's all good.
That's awesome. And I this story is cool to the fact that it you put your head down. You never gave up. You know, you kept grinding away. You kept staying with your true self, because you could have probably fell into, you know, you could have done something, played with a wedding band locally, and probably made a pretty good living. You know, most of those guys do.
Sure.
Yeah.
And but you know, to stay true like that takes a lot, man. And then also fighting a drug addiction. Well, there you go. That
didn't help. I mean, but it gave me a lot to write about later on, so that helped. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and
Gave
most
me
guys
some
don't come
songs
out on
to
the
write
other
about.
end, you know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and you mentioned you mentioned Walter Trout too, just to say he's you know, God bless, he's not doing too well right now.
Well, I want to tell you, I talked to him yesterday.
Oh,
He's doing pretty good.
Wow,
really?
He's doing pretty good, man. I don't mean that. I'm not trying to one up you.
No. That's great information.
He's such a good friend, and he's been trying to help me. You know, we've been friends since, like I said, since about 1998 or 99, and
awesome.
So we stay in contact. We're always really close, and I just talked to him yesterday, actually, and he's got his weight up, and the liver's working really well.
Nice.
And he told me a beautiful story about how he's playing his guitar every day, he's practicing every day. He lost his calluses and his muscles weren't working good, but he thinks he's ready, man. He said next year he thinks he's going to be ready. So
really,
I want to put that
awesome
out there.
news.
You know, you don't always get to hear everything positive, and he's doing really good. So
well, that's great. Sorry to stop you in your tracks there and bring that up, but that's really great news.
No,
so thank you.
He's a great guy. He helped me out a lot. He's done a lot for me. We're dear friends. I hope that we get to play together next year. You know.
Wow, awesome. Well, I hope you do too, and I hope he keeps getting better and out there playing again. That's great. So I'm sorry, I broke stride there.
Yeah.
You know,
no worries. But you know, I did. You know what really helped when you said about maybe you could have just been in the cover band. You know, when I got back to playing again, and I was sober, I just started playing like I knew how to do. I started playing 5 nights a week around clubs. Sometimes just solo acoustic, or sometimes with the trio. Just like I'm gonna go back to work. Like I felt comfortable that I could go back to work and be in a bar and not drink.
Mm-hmm.
And where I live now, where I ended up was in Southeast Texas, which is a great spot, but it's not a big city like St. Louis. So what I found out was like, well, if I want to play 5 nights a week, I got to drive to Houston a couple of times a week. I got to drive over to Louisiana, to Lake Charles. Like I got to start driving to places because there's not enough gigs here. And I started doing that, and I started driving. I thought, well, what if you drive a little further and you go to Austin or you go to Baton Rouge? And I was burning copies of my old CDs, and eventually I was touring regionally. You know, I didn't even realize what I was doing. And then it just hit me like, oh, this is what you got to do. Because I would tour a little bit around the Midwest, but really I just kept focused on, I'm going to get a record deal. Like that was, what was in my mind. And the second time around, I just started doing it on my own and started touring and selling CDs. And eventually that touring led to, I just was touring nationally and nobody was doing it. I was just doing it on my own. And then, here comes a record label like, oh, okay, well, this guy's already doing the work. Let's just sign him.
Wow.
And really, that's when it hit me like, oh, I get it now. Okay. I didn't get that, back in St. Louis. But if you just go out there and assume the role and go get at it, and if you can have some success, somebody's eventually, hopefully would come along and want to take part in your success.
That's awesome, man.
That is very cool.
That's real grassroots, man. Just, it's funny. It's like all of a sudden you realize I'm on tour.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm touring. I'm small, I'm doing a small tour on my own. That's great.
In a different scale and a different occupation. Bill Gates, at one point when they were working out of the garage, he got a call from the bank. He said, you got to come down here. And he went down. He didn't realize he was a millionaire. They had been working so much and so long that the cash was piling up. They said, you got to move this around. We don't feel comfortable with this. Wow. Hey, could you imagine that call though? And then all of a sudden you're like, well,
I'm waiting for it.
Right, you're right. Yeah, I mean that's focus. That's
great call.
That's just focus on what you do, and that's awesome.
That's cool.
That really set things apart. That was the main reason they were interested. They thought the music was good and that, what I was doing was good, but ultimately that I was out working and I was working hard and was obviously willing to get out on the road and get it going because, it's even more so now. I mean, the way that by the time that I was born and the time that I tried to get into music to the time when it actually happened, if that makes sense. Things have absolutely changed. So there was a very little chance in 2008 of an independent artist ending up with a song that's going to be a top 10 on the radio, and all of a sudden you're going to be a hit and everything's going to work out. It's like, it's just not happening, and it's certainly not happening now, even less than it was 7 years ago. So it was all about getting out there and shaking hands and making fans and making friends, getting people to come out. And so that's kind of my backstory, I guess.
That's awesome.
That's very cool, man.
On Today, were the guys that recorded that with you, was that your road band, or was Hutch and Benmont and everybody on the road with you?
No, I wish that was I had just different bands and musicians that were playing with me because I was working so much. I should also tell you, I have 5 kids. Whoa. So I'm very driven to, I have to go to work.
Yeah, you do.
So a lot of other musicians, they're like, I don't want to go on that tour. So I might have had, a couple of bass players that were on call because I got to work all the time. And so when I did the record, I had guys I was playing with, didn't have maybe just an all the time, full-time band. And if I did, it was, they were good, but it was young guys and local guys. And so they got David Z involved as my producer, and he got involved, and Tony Bronigal also, and he's a great drummer. Played with Taj Mahal and Robert Cray, and so they basically brought me to L.A. and brought in their team. So I got Tom Petty's piano player from the Heartbreakers,
Benmont,
and I got Hutch Hutchinson from Bonnie Raitt's band, and we had this amazing band. That was my band. It's pretty incredible.
That's great. How long did it take you to record the first CD today?
We did it in 5 days.
That's
5 days.
That's the way it should be done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right the way it should be done, but wow, who does that? That's great.
Also, that's kind of the thing when you're doing independent, you're working with a budget. And that's one of the reasons they go, well, let's just pay a little extra and get some really good A-team musicians that we know can really knock something out of the park. And then we'll just go in and press record, and everybody will hit it. And that'll be that. So I'm the guy. I'm the guy that, even though I played all that years, this is like a whole other league. So when I walked in, it was like, all right, now. So all the focus is on me. Basically, you're the guy that doesn't really know what you're doing. But we're going to guide you.
And you're in charge.
All these great people in.
Right. By the way, it's named after you.
Huge learning process.
Now I
be around all these guys.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you ever get? Does people come up to you and think that you're Mike Zito from the Hells Angels?
You mean
Chuck Zito? Chuck Zito. I'm
Chuck
sorry.
Zito. Chuck.
I'm sorry.
Well, they've asked me for years, like, am I related to Chuck Zito and or Barry Zito? Sometimes they want to know if I'm Rick Vito, the great guitar player that played with Fleetwood Mac. And,
you just say yes to all of it?
I always say no. If I could be related to Chuck, that would be great, because I feel like I wouldn't get any trouble from anybody.
No, nobody ever gives Chuck, and I apologize. I brain fart. I just saw Zito.
Great. I'm sure we are down the line, because I'll tell you, it's a Sicilian name that comes from towns outside of Palermo. It's not really from anywhere else, so there's not a lot of Zitos.
Gotta be.
But I haven't gotten any baseball tickets from Barry yet, so. And I'm waiting.
That's right. You hear that, Barry?
If he's listening.
He plays guitar.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
We'll have to turn him on.
Yeah, he does. He plays guitar. So.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, so we'll go. 2008 was today. 2009, a year later, you put out Pearl River.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's that was
totally different situation altogether. Yeah.
Wow.
It was, but ended up doing really well. Ended up getting, the first one. After all those years, you're making all those records. You're trying to get things going, but to try to really get known on a national level, I mean, that's a huge undertaking. So the first record, as good as I thought we made a record, it's like more like an introduction, just trying to get people to know your name or pay attention a little bit. Show up to the gig. So we really kind of did 3 records back to back, trying to really hit people over the head. And the second one really kind of started to take off and take some notice. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's fine. And that's that was your first collaboration with Cyril Neville, right?
That's right. Yeah, Cyril. We didn't have the title of the album yet. All I knew was, the first album we had a big budget and lots of stars and Los Angeles and great stuff. And second record was like, okay, well, you have this much money, like a fifth of the money you had, and you can record for 2 days. And, it was like that kind of a situation. Mm-hmm. And so I just knew like I was going to go to New Orleans. That's where my family came from, to Sicily to New Orleans, and I'll make a record. And so my manager was managing Cyril, and he had Cyril send me some lyrics, and Pearl River was one of the songs. And I wrote the music, and he really liked it. And the next thing you know, it's the title of the album, and it became the song of the year the next year at the Blues Music Awards. It won the Blues Music Award for Song of the Year.
That's awesome.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really awesome. It's the first song, ironic, it's the first time I ever wrote a song with another person, which is kind of funny. Pretty good. Pretty good first outing with Cyril Neville. And,
nice collaboration, award-winning collaboration, first time collaborating. It's not too bad.
Yeah,
right?
I was pretty, like, wow, I should do this more often.
That's right.
These other people are much better than I am at this songwriting thing.
And, whatever. I mean, it worked. It worked.
It worked.
And
that was a 2-day recording. That whole album, we recorded 14
crazy.
songs in 2 days live.
Wow.
And,
come on.
That was that album.
Wow.
If you can't get it done in 48 hours.
Well, if you're going to, it was really more of, I wanted to kind of just do a little more of just like, not, everything I do is maybe bluesy. It's not ever like just blues. It's got rock and other elements in it. But this was like, I wanted it to be a little more of just kind of like a raw blues thing. And I'm really not a big fan of all the overdubs and the, let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again kind of thing.
God bless you.
Seems like it works best, if you just go for it. And that's what I wanted to do. So we just set the band up live and we played, and all the solos and everything are just, it's what we did right there.
It's that first album, Van Halen 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, if the song didn't feel good, we do the song again, but it's, they're pretty much first, second, or third take all together, and it's really just, You know what? You mentioned that. I remember that when we did that, it's all one guitar track, and it's all lead and everything. So if we did anything that was overdubbed at all, it was like you have to go back and put a little extra rhythm guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just did one guitar path for the whole thing.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's... If you could do it that way, there's no better way to do it.
I think it's the way the way the good Lord intended it to be.
That's right.
I think exactly. That's what people are looking for, especially fans of blues fans.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're always saying, they want it to sound like what they saw at the club. Like they went and saw the band that was rocking, and how come the record doesn't sound like that?
Yeah. Well, that's you polish it too much and put too much in it, and then people go to see you live and you go,
you can't produce it.
Yeah, this is really not what it was on the album, and it's just not as
that
full.
That was a very difficult
it,
thing for me on the first record. As great as it was, we had all this percussion and wonderful keyboards and girls singing backup, and then I went out with a trio.
Yeah,
with a dude that couldn't really sing harmony. It was like, oh man, this doesn't sound like the record. We need to go make a record I can reproduce live. That was really I remember absolutely saying that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
The second time around, and I was learning. Obviously, at the time I was like, I'm learning how to make records now, like how this works, because what are we doing with this record? If it's not going on the radio and being some big hit, which it's not, then we're going to the clubs to play.
Right. So
you're right. The people want to hear. They want to go see you. They want it to all match up. We need to be cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's funny. Joe Perry was on Adam Corolla today. I'll give a plug, and
Nice.
and they were talking about this exact thing. Adam said this electronic thing where these guys basically go into a lab and they work it out so much that it's perfect. He goes, it loses that heartbeat.
The human touch, yeah.
The heartbeat is just pulled right out of it. So it's exactly what you said. Those things
There's nothing perfect about humanity.
Oh my God,
whatsoever, right?
No, and I think the thing is that amongst musicians, I would hope that you would get more respect putting something out that had those raw mistakes and the little glitches and the sounds and everything, knowing that that's as good as that's your stuff. That's you. There's nothing.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when they come see you, that's what they're going to
get. That. And maybe a little more.
Right.
I think the biggest thing for most musicians, and I'm really going to say guitar players because we're doing guitar players here, is that, we work on stuff. You sit in front of the amp and you work on a lick and you're like, yeah, I got it, yeah. And then you go to the band and play the gig and you're like, whoa, what happened? Like, what are you guys doing? Stop doing that. Like, I can't get this lick to work now, whatever.
Exactly.
And, and then eventually you get it worked up in the band. All right, I got it. And you go in there and play and you're like, no, like, that's not the best I can do. Like, I can do better. Like, you have some kind of preconception from whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can do something. And the idea is it's like, well, maybe you could do it another way. Maybe you could do it what you think is better, faster or cleaner or whatever. But this is as good as you can do it right now, apparently.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
And in context, everything has to work in context.
That's the thing, man. Is that here we are, we're doing this song, you're doing this. It feels good, it sounds good. It's good. Like, that's great. Live, you might go out and play it 6 months later and do a bunch of sweep arpeggios that don't even fit. I don't know, but It's not working right now. You have to be able to learn to accept yourself.
Sweep arpeggios.
And what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it is. I mean, you're like you said, I know guys that they will sit there and play, like all day to try to get the solo right, and it's like, once they finally get what they think it is, to me, it sounds like you said it almost doesn't even fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's all about trying to get the guitar playing in, and I'm all for guitar playing. But does it always actually match the music that we're doing?
Yeah.
So I think I've learned to find myself as a guitar player by putting myself in the situation of, well, you're just going to do what you can do, and here it goes. We're going to put it out there. And I think that's part of that whole thing from playing in the band. Like, well, I don't know what I'm going to play on the solo. I hope I put my fingers in the right spot, and let's see what happens. It's like the more I continue to do that with everything I do, you learn on a whole other level beyond learning, just sitting down, shredding with a metronome or something. It's learning to make it fit with the drums and the bass and the space and the melody. And it seems like the more and more I continue to do that, I become much more confident in what I'm doing. And it really does it started out one way, it ends up a whole other way that I never even realized maybe I was capable of,
Yeah, and whatever you wind up doing to the best of your ability within the context, that winds up being you.
Yeah,
and you're putting you out there. That's who you are, and people come to see you. And
plus, it makes you the MacGyver guy. It makes you the handyman. That when somebody needs a guy for a gig, if they, who are they going to call? Well,
exactly.
He can fit right in, man. We just tell him go.
Right. Right.
Because the shredder guy from YouTube isn't happening.
Right. He's
no, you're right. I always think that's interesting when it's like, that guy's a country guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice. So for a country gig, that's you got to call it. Oh, that guy's he's a metal guy. Which I get it. But, man, I always think I like all these things. I'd like to be able to do a little bit of all of it if I could. And I think that's another thing that has played into creating a style of your own, is having a little more interest in different styles of music, trying to learn some different techniques and some things from these different styles. And that's one thing I would always do is I'd learned a bunch, I'd learned to play a bunch of rock stuff the way I played, but it was rock. And then I'd go play in a country band, and I'd play all these rock licks. And they were like, "What are you doing?" It's really weird, man. You need to learn some country licks. Oh, okay. Okay. So I did. I mean, I had all the. I did. I lie. I did have all the instructional videos, like the hot licks. They had all those at the music store.
Yeah.
And I'd learned some of the licks, and I really enjoyed watching them and stuff.
Did you get the Arlen Roth videos?
Yeah, that's it. The Arlen Roth, all the hot licks.
That's
Danny
right.
Gatton.
Oh yeah.
I had Steve Morse's, and I just used to watch it because I couldn't do it.
Right? Yeah, that's what I did. I'll be honest, I probably watched them more than anything.
Yeah.
All day long, just fascinated.
But it does rub off. The more you watch it, some does rub off. It has to.
Yeah, well, it's Steve Morse.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, any of them. You can just watch any of them. It's like eventually you find yourself, oh, I just did that. That's what I saw him do on the video. And you just wind up doing it.
Like, I specifically remember being about 19, and I was just hammering away and thinking, like, man, I need some kind of I don't really have a technique. I kept hearing him talk about technique. Like, I don't have a way that I play. I'm just kind of
technique
playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the Albert Lee video, and he was using, like, I thought the country stuff was awesome. He was using the pick and his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
He called it hybrid picking. He was like picking down with the pick and up with the finger. And I could never alternate pick fast. Like, I could never do any of the shred and the brrr. Like, I just couldn't get my hand to do it. So I started using down pick, up finger, down pick, up finger, and kind of developing that. And was like, oh, that kind of works. And I started to be able to do things fast, because all I ever would do is be fast. And it started to make sense, and I started to pick up some things and playing in the country band. And then I went and played in a rock band, and I played that way, and they were like, wow, what is that? Like, the country guys were like totally opposed to any rock. They were like, oh, don't do that. And then I went and played, with some like hard rock guys who just played the way I had learned to play this country, and they were like, that's amazing. Oh my God.
That's funny, because all the country guys are really interested in the way. All the rock guys are interested in the way that he plays country.
Yep.
And now country is just full of rock licks.
Right.
It's all Southern rock now.
It's all heavy metal guys that needed jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Totally missed the boat on that, man. I was like, what? Come on.
You didn't miss the boat, man. You were ahead of your time.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm ahead of my time. Yeah.
That's right.
So, I don't know where we all started with that, but I think part of it is just being open to learning all this different stuff. Like you said, not just being like, that's the guy. It's like being the guy that can kind of play a little bit of everything. Because to me, I do like so many styles of music.
Yep.
And I like so much, especially, if you're going to just go to guitar. Like, I love guitar players. And I want to listen to everybody from Kenny Burrell to Danny Gatton to Steve Morse and Van Halen. I mean, I could go through all those phases and really enjoy all of their guitar playing and just geek out and have a great time with it. And maybe I can't play like any one of them. But like you said, sometimes just listening, it'll rub off a little bit. And I'll find some way, because, I've got music now that I've created where it's kind of loose. I can kind of do things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So if I'm listening to something and we get in the club tonight, it's like,
yeah.
I always feel like I've done my job, because I'm always trying to learn something. And the guys in my band are kind of they're all the same. They're all like pretty open. And so if I can get one of the guys to kind of look and smile or laugh, like, what was that? What are you doing? It's like, all right.
Right. Yeah, that's
I
always
pulled it
good,
out,
man.
And you're not afraid of the mid-range knob, right?
No, not
there
at
you
all.
go.
No, I want to get a little bit into the gear, but I want real quickly before we get into the gear, I want to touch base on the Brotherhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you started that in 2010, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like 2011 is when we really kind of we got working in gigs and writing songs, and by the end of that year, we recorded our first album.
Mm-hmm. Now, you met Devin when both of you guys were working at a Guitar Center?
Yeah, like that private music store I worked at, and then later, when I was really gigging and working and all that, they ended up opening up a Guitar Center.
Uh-huh.
And I went there and worked. And then Devin was there, and I was like, I remember I walked up to him, and I said, why are you here? He was like, what? And I go, why are you working at Guitar Center? And he's, well, I need a job. I was like, is it your dad, Greg Allman? Like, I need a job. Like, why are you working here? You know, and he like laid into me, hey man, you know, just because my dad's Greg Allman don't mean nothing. I mean, I need a job like anybody. You know, I ended up gaining some respect right away from him. Like, oh, I get it. Like,
nice.
Well, that's pretty slick.
All right.
You know?
Yeah, we've had him on too. We've had him on the show, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And I mean, I'll never ever. I always have a lot of respect for Devin because of that. Right away, you know, he kind of comes from his own thing, and he's doing his own thing, and I obviously certainly realized right away, like, okay, I have no idea what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think at first, like, oh, that'd be great, man, because then I could be famous really easy because my dad's famous, and
right.
It's so absolutely the opposite. Like, people, the expectations people have are the things that they say to him. It's incredible. Like, it's amazing, but he's done a really good job of, you know, getting his own name, his own music, his own sound.
Yeah, sure.
His own thing. So I'm always proud of him. Yeah, we started that in 2011, and again, I knew him for a long time, but you know, I was all with Cyril. Cyril and I had written that song. We had a lot of some success, and we wanted to work some more. And it just seemed like around that time, Devin and I had stayed. We've been friends all these years, and I'd see his name on the road, and he wanted to he wanted to know who my manager was, because he was like, man, you're doing pretty good. Like, what are you doing? And I said, man, you ought to come down to New Orleans and down on the coast. There's like a lot of great stuff happening. I fell in with this great crowd, and he came down, and it just kind of happened naturally. Next thing you know, the three of us were kind of writing songs and did a little jamming in New Orleans during Jazz Fest and just trying it out. We all had our own band, man. By then I had my third album out on that label, and it was another one that was nominated. It was doing really good, and I was thinking, I don't want to join a band. Like, I'm already doing good, man. I don't want to go like quit doing this and do something else. But it was Devin and Cyril, and I thought, well, I mean, I would like to play with them, and so it just took about a year to kind of convince everybody that this was a good idea.
Cool.
And that everybody wanted to do it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And it just took off, which is great.
Yeah, and that's about 4 years on the road. I get 3-4 years on the road.
Well, I think I saw you on the Rock Legends cruise. Were you on that?
Yeah, we were on the Rock Legends cruise.
Awesome band.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really great band. I mean, it definitely super fun and over the top, and a whole other thing for me. I mean, again, I'm coming from like I finally got my own thing. And I know what I'm doing in my world, and now it's like I got to go be in somebody else's world. Oh man, like what's this? Oh, another guitar player. What is he doing? Don't do that. I'm doing this. You do that. You know, that kind of thing. Like you know, we made a record before we were actually a band and went on tour, so the record came pretty easy, and then we had to go out and well, I don't really know these people. Like, who's that guy? Oh, that's kind of weird, you know, like, he's really loud. I'm going to turn up loud too, you know, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That you would do at first, you know, so we had to do that, and it seemed like after the first year, then it really got like, okay, like everybody started to fall in line. It made sense, and, you know, man, we pushed really hard on it. It was a great band. It wasn't easy to lead by any means. I enjoyed it, but at some point, I think I realized after 3.5 years of really hard work, I was like, well, you started out doing this thing that you wanted to do, and I'm going to be 44 next month. And, you know, if you don't get back to it soon, I mean, maybe this is what you're going to do. And so they were very supportive. They knew. I put my notice in at the beginning of this year, 9 months out. And said, I want to do it, but then I want to, and everybody, you know, they understood. They knew I'd already been doing my thing for a long time. And, you know, especially Devin. I mean, Devin and I go back a long way, so he was he got it, you know.
That's cool. Now, I mean, what you're alluding to, we didn't exactly say, but probably just a few weeks ago, you officially parted ways with the Brotherhood?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I did the Blues Cruise with them. That was my final gigs with them, and then that was it. So it was really awesome. I'm telling you, it was super fun. But I did know going into it, my big thing was like, well, I'm going to get to keep playing with my band, right? And it was the whole idea originally was like, yeah, we're going to do both, you know. But it took off so quick and became so successful quickly, which is awesome. There was really no time to do anything else. So even in the midst of it, I did a new album called Gone to Texas that I was really excited about. I never got to tour it. I never really got to play with that band much at all. And so through it all along, as much as I was enjoying it, I kept thinking, but this isn't really what I'm going to do. You know, I mean, I kind of always was like, I'm doing this right now because I want to do it, but I really need to do what I've been doing my whole life. I can't stop now.
Well, sure.
You know,
and you know, I mean, Devin's kind of the same way. You know, he had his solo thing going on. And I think that was a great, you know, the Brotherhood was a great project that, you know, maybe shed some light on both of your solo projects.
Absolutely.
You know,
and it brought so many people to my music and my band and everything. I mean, it really changed things.
Yeah, I mean, and vice versa. You know, your solo projects, both of you guys brought, you know, shed some light on the Brotherhood. You know, because both solo projects were already established before the Brotherhood. So you know, it works both ways. I think it was great.
Yeah,
you know, it was great to do. So
it was really great. Yeah.
Yeah. What did they see? Gear wise? You're a Category 5 guy, right? Yeah.
I am a Category 5 guy. I met Don Ritter in 2008, I guess, at the Blues Music Awards, you know, and he was really just getting things going. Bonamassa was using the amp, and he had a couple different amps he was doing, and he I don't know, he saw me play, and we did something, and I had some Fender or something, and he liked what I was doing. And I remember he hooked me up like with a Camille, a Category 5 Camille, like almost immediately. I was like, man, you need to play through this amp. And so, of course, I was really excited. Like, yeah, absolutely. I want to play through an amp, man, you know. So he sent it to me, and it was very difficult to play through at first. It was not easy. It didn't have the give, I guess that would be the right word to use, that I was used to. It was more like you have to like really play well.
Right.
Oh, so it sounds like another amplifier.
Yeah, I've been told the same thing. Yeah, it's
like it's really like, you know, the tone is amazing, and it was like, man, like I remember playing through it the first gig and like thinking, this thing sounds great. I'm terrible. I can't play guitar. I suck really bad. You know, what's the deal? There's like, you know, there's just not all this kind of give and easy sustain and what's going on. But I've just loved the sound of it, and people would go, "Oh man, your tone has never been better." And so I've been playing through that amp religiously. I mean, I've got 4 of them now, and I have one that's in Europe that I just use in Europe, and I have one here. And you know, I've got them. I had one that was just for the Brotherhood, but I have been playing through that amp for 6 years now, and of course now, I mean, I can't get off it. I love it. And I've gone, you know, I got lots of other amps, tried lots of other stuff, but that's a great amp. All their amps, they make it great, but that amp just really works well for me.
Nice.
It really suits me. I've used it on every album I've made.
Wow.
I love it. So,
you do amp, you know, when you record, as opposed to, you know, any kind of modeling or, you know.
Oh yeah, no. There's nothing ever.
Yes.
Nothing ever modeled, direct or anything like that. It's always, it's usually when I'm, you know, what it's usually is I'll bring in, you know, 6. I mean, I'll bring in I bring a big van load of gear to the studio, and you know, I have 2 or 3 Cat 5s that I'll set up, and usually Don will set me up with, you know, like say a Marshall, you know, one of his Bonamassa heads or something. Because going in, like, I want to have all the options and all the sounds. And then I'll also bring in my, you know, I got a Vibro King, and I got a little Savage 18-watt kind of a Vox-ish sound.
Yeah.
You know, different, just because you need different sounds. But a lot of times what I'll do is we'll take them in and we'll put them all, line them all up and turn them all the way up. Like, crank every amp, man, and mic them all up and put them in a big room, and then kind of have the chain set up where it's like, they can just take the faders. So if we're doing a tune, it's like, it doesn't, what else we got?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here, and then they'll bring the fader up on this end. Oh, that sounds good. We don't even know what it is anymore.
Right,
like,
right.
It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that one sounds good. Go in and turn it up louder, or put a fuzz pedal on, or that's how we do it.
That's cool.
It's the way to do it, because the other thing is, if you can get a big mic somewhere away from all those amps and get all the amps on at once, it's like, sounds like Neil Young, man. Huge, big, massive guitar sound. So
wow. So you do run them all at once. I mean, some guys will like track with one
and then go back
and also capture a raw track and then reamp through other amps. When they want to hear what that one sounds like. But running them all at once, man, that moves a little air there.
I haven't done any of that since.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
He just went away.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still...
Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Fat cheek, sorry.
You haven't done any of that?
Since I did like my last independent record where we did Pro... I mean, that's been a long time ago. We used Pro Tools. I might have had to run through something direct or... but no, everything's set up pretty live. And most of the albums I've recorded in a studio that's only a couple hours from my house the past 4 or 5 years. It's a great studio, so I like it because I can load the van up with all my guitars and all my amps, and I got a suitcase full of pedals, and or if I'm producing a record for somebody, I mean, that's part of one of the reasons a lot of the younger guitar artists that I get to work with, I'll bring in 10 amps and 20 guitars and 100 pedals, and we set it all up. And
awesome.
Because it's like, yeah, man, let's get a guitar sound here. Let's do something. And they get really excited. That's what we did with Samantha Fish. I mean, I don't know if you've.
I was just going to say another Cat 5 player who I really love. I think she really may be the next heir to the throne on the girls' side. Not that I want to separate it, but man. She's good. I love her.
At least they're not,
bone, man.
Yeah.
At least they're going with the cheap amplifier company.
Right.
Sam has been awesome, and I've got I did produce 3 records with her, and so I mean, along the way, we do a lot. I mean, she's got the Cat 5. I play these Delaney guitars that are. I used to work for Fender. I worked for Fender Guitars for about a year. After I worked at the music store, and later I had an endorsement with them, and I love Fender guitar. I love Telly. I'm a big Telly guy. But I just, somewhere along the way, I met this guy, Mike Delaney, in Atlanta, and he brought out our Telecaster he made. And I was like, man, this is amazingly good. And way easier to get. I was talking to him like the custom shop at Fender was just taking forever. Very not easy to always deal with.
For sure.
Not saying anything bad, but here's this guy and the other thing was that this guy, he didn't have a machine or anything. He just made this guitar. Like, it wasn't parts. He didn't buy parts. Like, he made this guitar out and back. He cut the wood,
bandsaw and routers,
and it was like, it looked amazing. So I bought it from him, and he said, "Man, I could make you anything you want." I said, "Well, this is what I want. I want like a biggest, fattest neck you got." Like, I want a swamp ash body, Telly, 2 humbuckers, blah, 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 blah. And he made it for me. And it was, it's still my favorite guitar that I have. And so we just started working together. The reason I tell you all that is Sam plays, she plays Cat 5. She plays Delaney guitars. We worked together, and I produced the records with her. And, it's part of the thing. I mean, a lot of our friends now, they all play the Cat 5 amps. We all play the Delaney guitars. You just get to working with people. I love working with people where it's like Don Ritter is a great guy that makes these amps.
Right.
I can call him on the phone. He's my friend. I know. So when we work together, it's good for him and his family, and it's not a big corporate situation.
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of a big thing for me. I really like that. So Sam has been really good about that too. So she's playing Delaney guitars, using Cat 5 amps, and I mean, hey, they're great guitars and amps. It's not like it's difficult to play this stuff, you know.
Right.
Well, Mike, I want to introduce you to my friend, Jeff Bober. He makes East amplifiers, and let me tell you, I've played through them, and I suck at guitar because I've heard other guys play through them and go, I don't sound like that when I'm playing through there. So once again, you know, great amps will tell on you in a heartbeat.
They make you a better player
too.
They make you a better player.
Yeah, they will.
I remember when I was first getting started thinking like I'd plug into whatever amp. I was like, oh man, I sound so good through this amp. Like when you're getting started, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're playing that amp, and I see if I had that amp, I would sound really good. Mm-hmm. And then later, here we are. Like I'm trying to get away from I sound really good through this one, but it's awfully easy.
Yeah.
And now I found an amp like, well, this amp sounds great. I can't play at all, so I definitely need this amp.
Yeah,
because it'll make you a better player.
Yes, absolutely.
It absolutely will.
Yeah. I tell Don all the time, the Category 5 has absolutely made me a better guitar player. Like, really helped me to relax and to phrase and to take my time and to hold the notes out. You know, like turn the gain down, and I'll be the sustain. That's a whole other thing coming from 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Rock. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it now is that I can achieve those sounds. I can still go play rock stuff and shit. I don't need near as much gain. You know, if you go back and listen to Van Halen, a lot of those records not necessarily that distorted.
No.
You know, not really at all. It's just kind of power tubes are juiced up, and he's just playing amazing. But of course, as a kid, I mean, I go in and just dime the distortion, roll the mids off, and try to, you know, and try to make it sound like that. But which is fine for a bedroom. It's not the real world. I mean, these guys are really playing.
Yeah, I mean, they get the amp cooking, and there's a lot of natural compression.
They're not getting lucky. Yeah. They're really playing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That's what I've learned in the past 10 years of getting to be around professionals, you know, like guys that are like, wow, okay. So they're not just messing around. These guys really know what they're doing. Like that's been a huge learning curve for me. And it's definitely helped immensely. And really, I think it has me on the right track because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, I think you got it figured out pretty well so far. And, you know, like anybody that keeps at it, you just keep getting better. You know, you either give up or you keep getting better. So you're obviously getting better because things are going your way. You know, you've got your new your project that you're out with now that you had to leave the Brotherhood in order to travel with. But, you know, I mean, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And, you know,
it's called Mike Zito and the Wheel.
And the Wheel. Awesome.
Yeah, it's me, but it's the band is called The Wheel. I put together. We did that on my Gone to Texas record I put out last year on Roof, and now we just have a brand new live DVD and live CD. It's a double set called Songs from the Road that we recorded in January in Houston, and it's just coming out. And that's with Mike Zito and the Wheel. That's just coming out like in a week or so.
Nice.
So that's what we're going to do, and it's a 5-piece band. It's you know, I'm at the helm, singing and playing, and then there's bass drums. There's a tenor saxophone that also sings, and then there's a piano and organist. And they're all, you know, great A1 players that have been around a long time and done a lot of great things. You know, a piano player, I got to brag on him. Like, he's the oldest member of the band, but this guy was in Freddie King's band. Like right when he left high school at 18, he went on tour.
Wow.
My God.
And played with Freddie King. He's on like Live at the Electric Ballroom album. That's him playing piano. And
wow, that's awesome.
Oh man, it's unbelievable, right?
That's gotta feel a little bit good.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. It's a great band. It's a lot of fun, and so we're hitting the road, going out and doing it.
That's good, man. Well, if you, I haven't checked out the itinerary yet, but if you happen to get anywhere near the Baltimore, Washington area, we'll come out and see you someday, man.
Absolutely. We will. We'll play. I know we play the Hamilton.
Oh, nice.
Probably after the first year, we'll be at the Hamilton sometime.
Cool.
So.
Awesome. That's a beautiful venue.
And it is MikeZito.com.
Okay.
That's his website. You can go there and check it out. We'll put that website up on our page like we do with every artist.
Yes.
It'll stay there indefinitely with the show
thank
on,
you.
and on the guest, support our guest page.
Absolutely.
And definitely check it out. I'm on his page right now. I just saw, and he got the jam with Warren Haynes.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's something else.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, how do you argue with that, right?
Johnny Winter's really good.
Yeah, Johnny Winter.
Yeah.
The late, great Johnny Winter. He's right up there with him, so.
Unbelievable. That's some good company to keep, my friend. So
it's pretty awesome. I've had some great stuff happen. Very fortunate.
So you've obviously become a pretty decent player. So
It's worked out. And let me tell you what, man. I'll tell you this. I have a ton of gear. Ton of gear, man. I mean, I got 9 Delaney guitars, and
wow.
I mean, I just keep making them build me a guitar. Like, hey, I don't have an orange one. You should make me an orange one, man. Like, I want to buy an orange one, And then I buy pedals on the road. Man, I met this great guy. I don't mean another plug, but great guy down in Florida. He's got a shop called Granville Guitars, and he came out one night and he brought this overdrive pedal. And I mean, I plugged in. I was like, "Golly, man, this thing sounds amazing." And again, I don't always know about everything because I kind of come from I got a wah-wah, I got a fuzz pedal, I got a delay pedal, and then you start meeting guys that are making boutique pedals, and it's basically his make of a Klon pedal. And like,
nice. This
is totally where I'm at because I'm still like 70s PV amp. I was like, what's a Klon pedal? Like, just like a couple years ago, like, I don't know what a Klon is. Like, apparently that was famous when I was on drugs because I don't know what it is. Like, I have a DS1, I have a Boss Distortion.
Yeah, they were famous when you were on drugs, and now they're in the unaffordable vintage category.
Right, right,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, the original ones, anyway. So
the original ones, yeah. So he brought that out like last year, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world.
It's like the Boss CE2,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I still have
$500 for a $30 pedal.
But I just started, you meet people, you get, the more you get to kind of do, you meet these guys that make, again, I love all the boutique stuff. So then I met this guy, and he's married, he's got a little shop, and nice guy. And, man, I just started buying pedals from him. I was like, well, I'll buy pedals from you. I like you. You're a nice guy. And he makes killer pedals, man. This pedal sounds amazing. So I use that pedal with my Delaney guitar through that Category 5 amp.
Awesome.
And it sounds killer. And people come out and they go, man, that's a pretty different guitar sound. Like, what do you got going on there? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good, huh?
Cool.
We're using stuff that nobody else really knows about.
Well, hopefully, this...
Or hopefully they will,
Right. So hopefully this podcast will get a few extra people to come out and hear you make sounds that most guitar players
can't do.
Are not cool enough to have.
Exactly.
So,
and it's not necessarily the more expensive stuff. I mean, it's just... It's just finding, to me, again, I like finding these guys that are like me, like I'm an independent contractor. I'm out there working, and it makes more sense to team up with them and work together.
Well, you like finding them, and we liked finding you.
Yeah,
so
man.
Man. I really appreciate you guys today. Thank you.
Look, you stay in touch with us because when you come back, and you got some time, we'll definitely have some more kind of.
For sure.
Get in more into the equipment stuff and everything.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a chance to sit down with him or something when he comes to the Hamilton and take a look at some gear and
absolutely,
things like that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man.
We can come to you.
Yeah, we can take the show on the road just like you. So, all right, Mike. Well, again, thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're a busy guy, and much success to you. Much continued success with you and the new project, and safe travels, man. Have a great tour.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome, my friend. Have a great evening. And there's the story.
Yeah, man.
It's he's come a long way.
Overcame drugs.
He's a great guy. Yeah, overcame drugs.
Yeah,
overcame drugs, and it seems like he wasn't into them too long and overcame them quickly enough that he's still a young man with a lot to say.
Yeah.
On the guitar, and back out there on his own with his own project, and God, you know, it's cool. I was going to ask him, but he already beat me to the punch. Like, you gone out with a 3-piece, you know, or whatever, 5-piece band, which is really cool. I mean, to me, that's a good comfort zone, you know, where, you know, like, I mean, if it's a 3-piece, you're carrying the night, man. I mean, granted, you got to have a fantastic rhythm section. And if you do, it makes it easier to do your job.
Sure.
But, you know, with a 5-piece, there's just a little bit more freedom to
sit back in that pocket every now and then.
And just enjoy what's going on and become part of what's going on instead of driving the whole thing, you know, instead of being the locomotive for the whole night. That's really cool, and I'm really happy for him that he gets to do that.
I tell you what, I got to see him on the Rock Legends cruise, and that band, I was like, whoa. I mean, you know, Devin was playing with his band, but then the other band...
Royal Southern Brotherhood?
Yeah, I was
and you know what? You had to take your cans off for a minute there when we were discussing?
Yes.
That was the end of his stint with Royal Southern Brotherhood. The Rock Legends Cruise was it. That was it.
That's wild. I got to see the end.
You got to see the end.
Well, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
they sounded so good. Mm-hmm. God, I was like, whoa. I mean, I was really impressed with that band. I didn't know any of their music. Right, you know, I'm just up there like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Who are these guys?
Yeah. Well, I knew Devin.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and I was like, when did he get in another band? You know, it was like, I was just totally in the dark on the thing. I mean, I can't keep up with it all.
And Cyril Neville. I mean, one of the Nevilles.
Yeah.
Really? Come on.
When they said that, I was like, really?
One of the Nevilles? Yeah.
It's like the Baldwins.
Exactly.
Like 80 of them. I don't know.
That's right.
You know.
It's the unknown Baldwin.
Yeah, man. So it's very cool that he's out there doing his own thing. And thank you, Jill. She listens to the show.
Oh, cool.
So I thank her for getting in contact with me because we try to think of, you know, who we want and who we try to get a hold of. And then, hey, look at that. He came right to us. So that was just awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen some of the videos of the Brotherhood. You know, I'm going, God, maybe we should have Mike on someday. And bam, you know.
I know.
Bam.
It just fell on our lap. So
awesome. So
thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
You know, thanks for taking the time and you know, giving us yet another great show.
Yeah, man. So until next time, my friend, I am Mick Marcelino.
Yes, you are. Things falling down and all.
And if my mic would work. And we are saying...
Oh, wait. I what? I don't get to say who I am?
I'm sorry. Who are you?
Let's start this over. You are...
I'm Mick Marcelino.
And I'm still Jeff Bober.
And we are saying...
Onward.
Be sure to follow the show on Twitter @AmsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and Lick of the Week with Dave Nassie, visit our website, amsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.